show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Here we go, man. Happy Wednesday, man, for all my mob family. We back again, man. These weeks, it seems like these weeks been going by super quick. But of course, man, it's that time. It's the second quarter, springtime, summertime coming up. It's a lot of events and activities going on. Everybody in high spirits. So we just been going crazy, man. It's an honor to, be able to work with the team that I have. And shout out to all of our members. Shout out to all of our affiliates. Shout out to all of our mentors and advisors. It's a team effort, man. It's all about, bringing the village together, bringing our community together. We've been doing a hell of a job, man. We've been, getting people funding. We've been, helping you guys get your business together. Been going through these modules. Speaking of the modules, this is the last week of module 4. Actually, we got a bonus this month. We got actually 5 Wednesdays in this month. So, hey, you can never go wrong with, talking about financial literacy and budgeting at the end of the day. I find this module super important because, over the years of consulting and working with different business owners and entrepreneurs, at the end of the day, it all boils down to financial literacy, budgeting. And, if you grew up in an area like me, for the most part, sometimes we don't really grow up knowing these things. We don't know about financial literacy. We don't know a lot about, budgeting, especially for a business, yet alone for our personal life. So, it's always good for us to, come together, share knowledge. It's the best time to be an entrepreneur, man. There's so much information out there for you guys. So much information, so many details, so many people, really doing their thing out here. So, at the end of the day, it's always good for us to, kind of come together, share knowledge, compare notes. And that's what we do in the brainstorming sessions, man. Every single week, we tap in with you guys and, bring you guys is actually, bring you guys entrepreneurs is actually making some things happen out here, which is super important because, most of the time you just see the brand. You don't really get to see the person behind the brand, most of the time, so it's always important to really, tap in with these people and hear real live situations from people that's actually doing it. Not these fake gurus that's just all they do is sit behind the computer. We really out here pounding the pavement, putting our plans in action, and making sure we just sharpening our tools. You will always be a student to the game, so we're always going to push the level up. And at least that's what you should be doing. So that's what this is all about. This is not, one of those situations where we gossiping and all that good stuff. I know y'all love that type of stuff, but we're gonna be shaking it up. We're bringing something different to you guys, something that's positive, something that can actually help you guys, build a legacy. For the most part, that's what it's all about, man. We get one life, can't waste it. So, we want to make sure we breaking generational curses. And that's what we're doing, man. We're breaking these generational curses. We're breaking, these norms. And like I said, man, it's the best time to do it, man. We got a lot coming up. Speaking of that, make sure you guys check out our website. Check out our event landing page. We got a lot of updates. And a lot of updates coming, man. We actually got probably about 4 new events that we need to put on there. So by next week, we'll have that on there. So make sure you guys tap in at least every other day, man. Check out some of the things that we got going on. We always keep, our website up to date for the most part. And we're going to be running through a lot of events and activities this year. And just pretty much like every year, man. If you know me, you already know we hit the pavement super hard. We already, got some things, going on in a few different states. So, if we need to come to a city or state near you, or if we need to tap in with some business owners in a city or state near you, or country, man. If you're in another country, if you're overseas, shout out, to all our M.O.B members overseas, our London family, our African family. soon we got some things coming up in Dubai, Bahrain. So yeah, man, if you have some ideas on where we need to hit next, man, make sure you guys tap in with us. Let us know. Matter of fact, blow up the comments, man. If you haven't already, if you tapped in with us live, either on YouTube or Instagram, make sure you guys blow up the comments. Make sure you guys post your websites, your social medias, and check out somebody else's website. That's what it's all about, man. You never know who you may be able to really connect with and bond with. So, that's what I really want to do is make sure that we connecting with each other, making sure that we utilizing these resources, and making sure that, we just being the best people that we can be. Speaking of resources, definitely, we keep them resources on our website. So make sure you guys check out our most up-to-date resources that we have. Of course, we got our Entrepreneurship Unleashed ebook on there for you guys. And of course, we got some grants from Skip as well, man. So shout out to them, man. They've been, doing some wonderful things, helping you guys get funded. Shout out to, our members that actually, had a chance to win some funding from them as well. So shout out to that. But yeah, man, they've so far they've funded over $1 million to various businesses every Tuesday and Friday. They on live on YouTube, giving away money, man. So hey, if you don't need no free money, that's cool. But for those of you that that can use some extra capital, definitely tap in with them people, man. They these some good people. We've been rocking with them for about I want to say 4 or 5 months now, and they've been consistent, man. So anytime you got people out here actually giving away money, you definitely gotta tap in with them because it ain't a lot of people out there that's doing that, for the most part. And on top of that, this is probably the easiest platform that you can actually apply for a grant through. So they really got it down pat. With, working with AI, different things like that to help you guys, to help make it easier for you guys to apply for these grants that's out here. It's a lot of opportunities out here, man. We just got to apply ourselves. It's not just going to come to you at the end of the day. So make sure you guys check out our resource center right on our homepage, masteringnourbusiness.com. Also, make sure you guys check out M.O.B TV, man. We got some new content on there. From exclusive interviews, brainstorming session recaps, the whole nine, man. We got some recaps from our Standing on Business webinars, some commercials that we shot. We got a little bit of everything on there. So we got some great content for you guys to tap in, keep you guys busy, keep you guys entertained at the same time, and actually educating you guys as well at the same time, man. So make sure you guys check out M.O.B TV. And also download that Enterprise Theater Network channel on Roku TV as well, and check out M.O.B TV Network on that as well. We're up to about 6 million viewers right now on Roku TV, so definitely check us out. And if you're actually looking to put some content, whether you're a filmmaker or you have your podcast or you have a TV show that you're thinking about producing, or you have a webinar, anything like that, make sure you guys tap in with us, so we can get it on Roku TV and get you guys some more traffic coming through, get you guys some more viewers. That's what it's all about, man. So shout out to the Enterprise Theater Network, man. They're my peoples who've been working together for a few years now. So yeah, man, they doing some great work over there. And it's always my honor to work with and work and deal with people that's on the same mission as we. Speaking of that, definitely check out our membership options. If you're building a platform, if you have a business that's already going, that you want to scale up, make sure you guys tap in with us, man. We got a lot of details about, key features, different services that, you can actually access as a member. If you need your own video and audio production team, your own social media management team, you need a, web design team, graphic designers. If you need help, curating an event or activity, anything like that, we got a whole hub of different resources for you guys to take advantage of. So definitely tap in with that, and take some time to go through the information. We got a lot of information on our website, you guys. And shout out to everybody that's actually been tapping in with us, though. Again, shout out to our members. Speaking of that, we got an actual M.O.B member on today as a special guest. We got to bring you guys some gems every single week. So yeah, man, I can't wait for that. I'm gonna bring her up in just a minute. But yeah, meanwhile, make sure you guys check out the website and see how you can get involved. Also, if you guys, want to make money with us, definitely check out our affiliate program. We've been doing some great things with our sponsored affiliates. And we teamed up with some great people. So, at the end of the day, it's not just about getting your business off the ground. Why not help somebody else get their business off the ground or get their project off the ground, and be a part of that community, effort. That's what it's all about, man. We're trying to create more jobs, man. We can't create more jobs if we ain't on our business. So, instead of us complaining about how some people might not have everything that they need to really run their business, how about you connecting with some people, man? How about you bring them into the mob? I'm pretty sure every single person, if you know anybody with a business, I'm pretty sure they're gonna need one of these resources, and that's what it's all about. So, why not help somebody else and also earn some revenue while you're at it. So definitely make sure you guys apply for our affiliate program. And shout out to all of our affiliate partners, man. We've been doing some great things. They've been, you guys been bringing some great people into the community. And that's what it's all about. Word of mouth, man, is probably our biggest uh, attribute. And I'm loving that because that means we're doing the right, we're doing what we need to do, to make sure that you guys, trust us with your brand, trust us with your baby at the end of the day. I know you guys see the new merch courtesy of the mob. We got some more on our virtual marketplace, so make sure you guys check that out. Go cop your merch. Whether we got a little bit of everything on there, from hats to shirts to shoes, baby wear, a little bit of everything. So in a minute we about to put some stuff on there for your pets. We got shout out to all our manufacturers, man. They always keep us on top of our toes. They always, drop us some new stuff for us, and making sure that we can stay outside the box when it comes to the merch. Because everybody got shirts, everybody got, for the most part, hats. But y'all ain't got the new, we got the new embroidered trucker hats. So I don't know if y'all seen those yet. But yeah, man, courtesy of the mob, man. Make sure you guys check out our marketplace. And if you got some products that you actually want to sell on our marketplace as well, we're always open to collaborations, man. Collaboration over competition. Let's get it. Um, Without further ado, man, I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer today. But I definitely want to bring up our special guest. What's going on, Jazz? What's going on? Go ahead and unmute.
Hello, hello everyone. How you doing?
Bless. We here. The marathon continues. It's another week, and we back brainstorming, we back masterminding, putting our heads together to figure it out, man, for sure.
Most definitely. I'm excited to be here. You guys are really doing some great things. I know you guys have these sessions every week, but it's such a great reminder every week of the things that you should continue to tap into because the resources are there. They are available to you. You just gotta make sure that you're utilizing them and definitely tapping into a network of people like you mentioned before that can help you do great things and expand in different ways. So shout out to the mob family for sure.
It's a team thing for sure. For sure. For those who are rock, man, let them know. Give them a quick intro about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so I'm Jasmine. I'm the CEO of Serenity Nail Polish, which is a vegan nail polish company that I started with myself and my daughter Serenity. At the time, she was 4, and now she's 8 years old. So we've been in business for a few years now. I'm also a social justice educator. So I do teach fifth grade during the day. I'm a teacher. And I also am a philanthropist. I love to do community work. I love to give back to the community. Um, and I'm just all things people, all things on very big on how can we help others and how we can be in service to others. That's what I do for a living. It's the nature of the work. It's the nature behind my why. And so that's a little bit about me.
That's the biggest key, man. That's the biggest key. That's the biggest gem. At the end of the day, we move as a unit, we move as a community.
Hmm.
And, it's not just about us, at the end of the day. So, it's super important to have people like yourself that's, into, bringing people together, for the most part. So I know, you've been doing this for a minute. Shout out to
Hmm.
Serenity. Where my little homie at, matter of fact? Where the star at? Where the
Playing
superstar?
around, running around.
All right. You get a pass for the day. So yeah, man, real quick. Yeah, real quick. Tell them a little bit about your journey and really how how you got into this industry and how did you kind of go about getting into the world of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, um, I'll tell you guys the story that the world knows, and some of you may not know, and then I'll tell you the backstory so you guys could understand full picture of the why. So Serenity Nail Polish was born or birthed in the pandemic of 2020. That's when we were all home. We were trying to figure out what was going on. And we were in the middle of a pandemic, a very scary time where a lot of us experienced loss of our loved ones, uncertainty with our jobs, a lot of fear, and we just didn't know what was coming next, right? But during that experience, during that process, and the time that we were able to spend together, Serenity and I, we always used to polish our nails together. That was like our thing. Some people, you know, arts and craft activities are their thing. Movie night is their thing, but she really loved to do her nails. And she is also into art, so she would just paint things with nail polish. She would take her toys, she would repaint it with nail polish. She would paint my nails. She would paint her dad's nails. So that was like her thing. And so we said, as she gets older, let's continue to pay attention to her thing, right? Um, because oftentimes we have these dreams and visions for our children, which is great to set expectations for them and to hold them to great standard, of course. But ultimately, how can we push you in a way that you are going to pursue something that you want to ultimately do for your life? Um, and so one day we ran out of nail polish, and I remember she asked me, "Mommy, there's no more nail polish?" And I said, there's no more nail polish. And she said she wanted to go to the Serenity nail polish store. So we joked about it that night, and we thought about it some more. And I said to her grandparents the next day, and I was like, I think she might be onto something. It's from the mouth of a baby. And so from there, that's when I started doing a lot of research on different products, something that would be safe and healthy, not just for Serenity to use, right? Because she is of a young age, but for other people to use as well. My entrepreneurship journey, I always knew that I was going to do, I always had that entrepreneur spirit in me from the time that I was younger. Um, I was never settled where I was. So I always want to do more. It was always that question of how can I do more? How can I give more? Right? It was always in my nature. So I grew up in Far Rockaway, Queens, in New York City. My parents are immigrants. They're not from here. I did watch how hard my mom worked. I watched the sacrifices she had to make. So I knew that each generation has got to do better. Each generation has to do better so that we can keep putting other generations behind us, right, in position where they can, again, I always say that, create their own table, where they can create their own lanes, right, and have different avenues. Because even growing up, oftentimes you're told to go the typical route to be a teacher. I mean, I wasn't told to be a teacher. I just was like, that's a whole nother story. But that is the typical route. Be a teacher, be a doctor, be a lawyer, right? But there's not much talk about now. There is, but when our times growing up, now it was just like these are the lanes and routes in which you have to take. But like I said, I watched how hard my mother worked. I watched the sacrifices she made, right? And I said, how can I then give that to my child and do it differently, right? And so now what I'm doing is I'm putting her in position so that when my grandchildren get here, they're going to be in a different position than even three generations ago, when my mother brought us on board. So it was Serenity Nail Polish, in long story short, came from, yes, the mouth of a baby to a mother trusting her child's vision, to my upbringing and background, to me understanding sacrifice, to me wanting to create another pathway and understanding, like, yes, this is just one avenue of what generational wealth looks like, but we have to take the step in order to make that happen.
Definitely, definitely. It's super important. You hit a few on a few key topics, but first I want to commend you for stepping out on faith and actually listening to your kid because I think a lot of people they
Hmm.
their kids, man, and I always tell people, and I've been saying this for years: if you got kids, you got a cheat code, literally.
Right.
They are the future, and they literally looking into the future. And we sometimes we stuck in how we came up. especially
Mhm.
parents. 'Cause I grew up in that generation where entrepreneurship was looked down upon. It was shunned. I know I grew up with a lot of first generation um,
Right.
folk as well. So I know that's how they their parents and really wasn't having it. Because they just looking at it like, look, I didn't spent my savings to get over here. You definitely
Yep.
gonna be a doctor or a lawyer. Because that's all they see. They don't really, like I said before, we don't grow up thinking about financial literacy or running a business. Most of us, I was blessed, for me to grow up seeing my mother, be an entrepreneur, and my grandmother, she opened her own beauty salon, different things like that. But
Right.
for the most part, I was lucky to be able to see that because a lot of my people that I grew up with, in the
Mhm.
city of Detroit, they wasn't growing up like that. Their parents on Section 8, food stamps, or selling
Mhm.
milk. You know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
and we sponges. We only know
Mhm.
what we see, what we experience, and so and
Ab-
that's something that I always try to tell people. And you can beat the odds sometimes. It's not that way every single time, but most of the
mhm.
time you grew up around, you're gonna be what you grew up around at the end of the day. So that's why it's super
Absolutely.
important for people like you. That's why I commend you for being that example for your daughter. So by the time she get our age, it's second nature. She don't have to have this conversation like, oh, I didn't know, or our parents didn't support my entrepreneurial journey. Because I know at first mine didn't. It was
Right.
I was an entrepreneur way back before it was cool. And once you get out of that kid stage and become an adult, and you still thinking entrepreneur, they looking at it like, yo, you need to get a job. Like, what's going? This ain't you gambling,
So true.
and this ain't gonna happen.
Yep.
Now I'm grateful that my mother we can kind of have a different conversation now because she's taking her journey as an entrepreneur, which I'm proud of.
I
For
know
me,
that's right.
we can have these conversations now, but before she didn't
Mhm.
understand it, and now it's like now it's funny because fast forward now I'm giving her advice and I'm consulting her
Mhm.
businesses and managing her, and helping her go through, and I'm listening to her tell these stories, and I'm like, welcome to my life, welcome to the world of entrepreneurs. You thought I was just trying to go the easy route, and a lot of people don't know being an entrepreneur is not the easy route. It's super hard.
No, not
So
not at
um,
all.
fast forward, thank God, we was able to show and prove, and I was able to show her that, this wasn't just a phase in my life. And I think that's what we was at. She just felt like I was just going through this entrepreneur phase. And it was like,
Right.
no, this is what it is. This is what it is. It's going,
Mhm.
you know, you got to show and prove. And I think that's with everybody. I tell people that, coming in, especially people that's coming into, being a business owner, don't expect your family and friends
Yes.
to support you off the bat. You might
Yep.
get, especially if you're lucky, you might get your friends and family to support what you got going on. But,
Mhm.
especially the older generation, they just don't understand. Parents just don't understand
Right.
sometimes. So
Mhm.
you can't listen
Absolutely.
to people. You gotta really listen to yourself, follow your heart, and go for what go for what you know, and take that gamble, take that leap of faith. For the most part.
Most definitely.
And you talked about research. This is something I talk about a lot. This is actually module 2, where we speak on market research and idea
Mhm.
validation. And I know you
Right.
spoke on that was one of the first things that you did was do your research, and that's super important. A lot of people don't do that; they just go off of passion. What's some of the key factors? Um, and really, can you share like some insights that you discovered doing your research that really shaped your business idea? And how did you go about researching?
Right, exactly. So, like you mentioned, we had to do research, right? One for there's several reasons why we had to do research. The first reason, like I said, we wanted to put out something on the market that was safe, something that was healthy for little kids to use. Because when we first started, Serenity nail polish was strictly for children, right? I was like, what's something safe that the kids can use that if they put it in their mouth and they, they bite it off, they gonna be all right. Like we ain't gonna have nothing
Mm,
happen to them.
mm,
And so what happened was we were getting so many like orders and people reaching out to us about the kid products, but people would say like, do you make this for women too? I've been looking for a vegan nail product to use, and I've been looking for like the other nail polish, the regular nail polish, it doesn't agree with my skin. I feel a burning sensation. So we were shocked to see how many people actually were into purchasing vegan nail polish and looking for them on the market, but they just weren't like running into the right product. And so we wanted to basically take that and expand it. And not only that, we were like, okay, so now it's vegan, and now we're doing research. What we found in the research is a lot of times the reason why the lady was saying that her nails was hurting the bed and stuff like that is because the products that we use, the products that we put in our skin, people always talk about vegan and they think about just like the internal, like, oh, I'm vegan, I eat clean, right? But there's so many different products out there that are healthy and they have like less chemicals in them, like detergent, soaps, all of those things. But for us, we found that those things, they're actually linked to cancer. They're linked to fertility issues for women, and it's just not healthy, right? Because the nail, if you look at the skin on your nails right now, I see you trying not to look down. you the skin that's around it, that's where the products seep in. And so when it was time to look at ingredients, we had to say like, what does this ingredient do? What does this word mean? Like same thing when you go to the beauty supply store and you pick up a hair product, 9 times out of 10 they say like, if you cannot pronounce that word, you probably shouldn't be using it, right? And so making sure that when you look through making sure that when we look through the ingredients of our products, it didn't contain certain harmful chemicals that would be linked to the things, health conditions and concerns, like I mentioned earlier. So that was something that was super important for us. And then we also tie our polishes to affirmations. So when it was time to name the colors of the polish, I was like, I don't want this to just be called purple. So, come up with affirmations with Serenity, like, and so we came up with like passionate purple, purposeful pink. Um, Now it's like generous green, right? So just behind words of affirmation, like when I'm putting on my polish, I'm not just putting on any polish. I'm putting on a polish that's not only cruelty free, not only healthy, but it's also, and not only making me feel good and boosting my confidence, right? But it's also after affirmations, and it's just reminding you to be, confident in who you are and affirming who you are as well.
Gotta affirm it for sure. So, like, did you was that something that you seen on the news that was happening? Like, people, like the kids was getting sick, or was that something that you read up on? Like, how did you go about?
No, it's something that we actually read up on. It's something that we read up on because what I started to do was I typed in vegan nail polish versus regular nail polish. And when I did that, I started to see all of the differences, right? And then of course you get like main, like basic differences that'll pop up. Like, okay, one is has harmful smells. Like when you go into the nail salon, that harsh smell, that's because the products are not vegan based. And then there's even like different things that exist in the vegan world, like oil based versus water based. Which polishes last longer versus last less. But when I started to look at the ingredients, I literally typed in every ingredient. I said, I want to know what this does. Does this nourish the nail? What does this do? And so we were able to discover the link between the ingredients that were not good to be put in products versus the ones that were beneficial for our customers.
I love that, and that's where that passion comes. I think it got to be, we all want to make money, of course. Like, we all want to
Hmm.
be well off. We all want to pay our bills and, be financially free. But at the end of the day, man, it has to have some type of passion, behind it as well.
Right.
Passionate enough to take that extra step and, make sure that you separate yourself from these other competitors in whatever way and put your own twist on it. I think that's super big. And I think that's what's going to really get y'all over that hump, or what put y'all over that hump. 'Cause I've been doing some amazing things, and
Thank
my
you.
years, all of my years, I really haven't came across, and I've came across so many different ideas and companies and brands, but I really haven't came across a brand like y'all. So that's super dope. And it's always good to really stick out. Um, so real quick, I want to touch on this month's module because I know it's the last week of module 4. It's
Yes.
module 4. And financial literacy and budgeting is super important, especially when
Mhm.
it comes to, you know, uh, building and maintaining a business, and also just maintaining your lifestyle. So, how do you approach budgeting for your business, and what strategies do you use to ensure your financial stability?
Right. Thank you for asking. That's, such a great question, and it's a very important question to ask. When people see numbers, not everybody, but numbers can be scary, right? But everything has to be attached to a number. Like you have to know where every dollar is going. Um, and in the beginning, you make pitfalls as you go. And so one thing that I did to make sure that I know my numbers and stuff like that is I have a spreadsheet. You have a profit, you have a loss spreadsheet. You know what the product you're paying for, how much is it costing me? How much am I selling it for? Is it a profit at the end of it? Is it a loss? How many times a month are customers purchasing this particular product that we have selling, and is that bringing in the revenue that our business needs to be sustainable, right? Are we spending too much of our budget in one area versus another, meaning like, are we dishing out money when it comes to partnerships that we know won't necessarily take us the route that we need to go, or they're not like aligned to our mission and our values for the sake of saying that we did a partnership? Or are we paying for like partnerships or sponsorship that we know can help drive our business forward, whether that's marketing, branding. Um, so it's super important to have a financial goal, a financial plan. I used to have a bookkeeper as well. I know a lot of people use QuickBooks. That's like a simpler way to keep track of your budget. Also, like each month I go in personally now and I just do it myself. I go it through like my receipts, my emails. I have a receipt book with all the receipts with things that I spent for our business, and I plug in the numbers, and I just take a day and I'm like, this is a business day, but this is my budgeting day. This is my financial planning day. Like, this is the day where I'm reassessing the budget. And people think that when you set a budget, right, that's just the budget for the business. No, budget for businesses changes all the time depending on the need, depending on the needs of the business, the needs of your customers, the needs, when it comes to just like, it could be website building, whatever the need is, you know that it changes. So that's why it's important to make sure you find out like a tool or a platform that you can use that's going to help you be set up successfully for that. Because when you start missing dollars and you don't know where they're going, it's not good for anybody. It's not good for business, and it's definitely not good for you. So,
And another thing, you're definitely right. And I think, this is something that I touch on a lot too, because over my years of consulting and working with different businesses, I ain't gonna
mm,
lie. I'm gonna put some of y'all on blast. A lot of y'all don't even know what y'all need to run y'all business. This is one of the most touchiest topics that I probably
mm,
have. The
yep,
hardest question to get for me to get a business owners to answer is, what's your budget? you should
right,
know you should know, or at least have an idea of what you're willing to
mm-hmm,
spend and what you have in the bank account to spend. And the biggest answer,
yep,
oh, I don't know. It's like, you should know this before, if you, especially if you're inquiring about a service or inquiring about a resource. You should know, at
yeah,
least have a basic idea, like, okay, this is how much I can realistically spend on whatever it is, whether it's building a website or like you said, marketing or whatever the case may be. You should
mm-hmm,
already know. And I ain't bashing. Yeah, I am. I'm bashing y'all. We bashing because y'all got to do better at the end of the day in knowing what you need. At least have an idea, a ballpark. And I'm not saying don't start a business until you have all the money that you need. That's not realistic, because I think we all, we've all been there. You get what I'm saying? But at least have a goal, have an idea, so you can set your goals and say, look, I'm gonna need X, Y, and Z amount of dollars to really make this thing work, to really kick this
right,
thing off, to really get, the best website that I can get, to really get some marketing that can, like you said, that can actually benefit me, instead of just doing it for the sake of it, or doing it because, it's cheap. You get what I'm
right,
saying? Because,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Because cheap is not always the good way.
it's not always. And look,
Mm-hmm.
me as a business owner, myself, hey, we love a little shortcut here and there. We love a little discount here and there. If we can, cut that budget a little short, let's do it. But It's always important to really include and make sure that you know and have a good idea of what you looking to spend. What do you have to
Right.
spend? What can you realistically afford right now towards whatever it is that you're building towards your business? And this should be in your business plan. So this, when I ask that question and then they can't answer, it just let me know that you don't have a plan. Because you should
Right.
have this in your business plan. This should be in your business plan. And it might not be down to the cent, because like you said, your budget is going to change. The economy changes. All it, it can be something that's changing the president that can change your whole budget, or adding on a service, or adding on, something extra to your business. It can change your budget, but at least have something to start with, people, because
Right.
we got to do better, man. We don't be having no budgets. We don't be having no plans of action. But then we want people to believe in our business. We want people
Right.
to, we want people to, buy into our business and buy our products. But we don't even do the due diligence to put together a base. And this is basic. This is basic. So and this
Mhm.
is what really pushed us into this lane to really build the mob. This will really, this is where all the resources that we have. This is just real life examples of what I've seen. People. I ran across a lot of business owners who didn't have business plans. So I'm like, okay, maybe we need to help them put together business plans. I come across a lot of business owners
Right.
don't have, high, a good quality content. So I'm like, okay, maybe we need to make sure that, we provide that resource. So everything that we have and that we provide, I've seen these are the common denominators that most businesses and most business owners don't have. And it is what it is.
Mm.
And you know what? I ain't even, trying to bash too hard because I was in that same boat. When I started,
Yeah, me too.
when I started Exclusive Models magazine, we didn't have no business plan. We knew what we wanted to do. And I had to learn as I went. But let me tell you, I bumped my head so many times. I wasted so much money. And went in and
I
man,
know.
bumped my head so many times. So sometimes it's good to bump your head, but if you don't have to, why do it? And that's why
Right.
it's a blessing. That's why we pair up certain people with mentors and advisors and different people that can kind of
Mhm.
on that, because we all need it. I think my business and my mindset, I wouldn't say just the business, but my mindset really elevated when, I got my mentors. Shout out to Alonzo Palmer, rest in peace. Um, and shout out to Naima. She let her tell that she wouldn't probably admit to being a mentor because she's still in it, but she was
Right.
really a mentor to me. And she was one of those people that taught me how to go on the road and what to do when you're going on these tours and you hitting these major cities, and you're doing these big productions. And it was
Mhm.
important for me to see those things and be able to see firsthand how these people was operating behind the scenes, for me to get my stuff together. But hey, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help people not make the same mistakes we made. I made a lot.
Absolutely.
Made a lot of them. But we students of the game. I'm always a student of the game. I'm not gonna say I'm done making mistakes. We here to learn from our mistakes and learn from our actions. So at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Real quick, man, what is the most memorable customer interaction you've had, and how did that really impact your approach on sales?
Yes. So, whew, when I this goes back to the research that we were doing, right? Um, and when people started to reach out to me asking me, do I have a product out there for women, right? And again, our product is for everyone. But when people specifically started asking me, do I have a product for women? They, heard my nail beds and things like that. From that one particular lady, I had another lady reach out to me, and she was just so thankful that she ran into Serenity Nail Polish. She was telling us that she was going through chemotherapy, um, and it changed her because she wanted to. From there, she was like, she beat chemo, so shout out to her. But from there, she just wanted to change her lifestyle, and so that's why when I talk about, vegan and things like that, people just think about the diet, but this lady walked me through the whole course of like, yo, I changed my life in like your product is one of the things that like helped me feel better, help me feel good when I was in the hospital. It helped me through my journey. And not only that, it's something that she consistently uses now, because everything that she uses, from whether it's stuff she put in her body or to the outside, everything is clean, right? And so that you don't expect those type of emails, you don't expect those type of letters necessarily from people. You have a mission or a vision, what you would like your product or your service to be, how you would like or envision things to go. But sometimes, like, when you have a plan, God has another one, and more times than not, he has a better one, right?
It's a
And
better
so
one.
he has a better one. And so unexpected things like that can happen all the time. And so for me, that was the most touching story. If you guys go on our social media page, Serenity Nail Polish, that was one of the motivations behind the shoot that we did back in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we donated a portion of proceeds. We do that every October. We, encourage people to buy, and we take a portion of the proceeds and we donate it and we give it back to the National Breast Cancer Foundation. And so that's the story behind that as well, because it's not only saying, listen, our products are clean, but they're touching real people's lives. And so we want to continue to give back to that community as well, in hopes of touching someone else's life and making them feel great about who they are.
That's the main goal. See, that's dope. I think and this is why I asked this question, because I think a lot of us, like I said, we all want to make money. We want to be the best, but we get
Hmm.
away, and sometimes that can pull us away from what we really on this earth to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
God put us on this earth to really serve each other, and especially the weak and the needy. We gotta serve each other, and matter of fact, and I didn't ask this week, but usually I ask this. If you live with us, and you got a business, what benefit, how do the community benefit from your business, your product or
Hmm.
service? Because at the end of the day, that's a super important question. If you're not thinking about that, you're probably not going to be that successful or have longevity.
Right. Hmm.
So I think that's super important for us to really keep on our head. For us, it's creating more jobs, creating legacies.
Yes.
You get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I think that's the biggest, that's like the biggest honor that I can have, being able to be a part of somebody's legacy and be able to, be of assistance, and not just because most of us, most people just want to, kind of stick around but keep a distance until you make it. Then they want to be up
Yep.
close. But it's like I
Hmm.
love being a part of the process and then seeing the things sprout. And I think that's the biggest, the biggest payment, for us for the most part. So if you're not thinking like that, if you have a business or a service or a product, you always want to figure out how can the community actually benefit from this product. How
Right.
can the community benefit from your business, and not just, well, how can I get the most money out of it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's super important, and I think that's what really build character and help entrepreneurs stay longevity, for the most part. So much
Absolutely.
for real, for sure. Real quick,
Absolutely. Go ahead.
no, what you
No,
about to
I was
say?
saying that's one of the things that eventually we would love to do. We would love to have a spot that we can open in the community that provides that self-care service, that mindful meditation, that affirmation. Would love to have some type of counselor on deck. Um, and I just envision a place of like, this is where I go for like self-care, and then within the same breath, employing and creating jobs within the community. But it's further down the line, but definitely one of the things that is still on my heart, that's brewing for Serenity Nail
Hey,
Polish.
it's
Steps.
closer than you think. It's closer than you think, for sure. Especially with your webinar. And for those that don't know, shout out to you, for the Entrepreneur 101 webinar, especially for our mompreneurs, because it's super important, to have platforms like that to help, get people over that hump. And trust me, it's gonna pay off. You stay consistent with that, and it's gonna be that person that's gonna come back and be like, "Man, your webinars really helped me, grow my business and put me on the right path, and now I'm here." You know what I mean? And
Right.
sometimes it might be, most of the time it be people that you never would have thought that hit you up, or people that you don't know at all. So
Absolutely.
all it takes is that one. I think we get so caught up in, getting a million followers and a million views that we kind
Hmm.
of neglect that one. But that's what we
Right.
go back to.
That's
We go
true.
to those select people that really need us. That's what it's all about. That's all it takes. That one person change that one person
Mhm.
life. And you never know. That might come back to you and be like, hey, I got a gift for you. I got a blessing. So it's always good for that. What advice would you give entrepreneurs seeking funding for the first time based on your experience?
Yeah, so I would say there's a few different ways that I would say do funding and seeking funding. I know last week, oh, this was Monday. It felt like many moons ago. We spoke about different things. We spoke about angel investors, people that you know people that believes in your vision and they want to basically invest in you, invest in your business as to help start up. Um, of course, they can want different things. It could be like a potential share in your company when it starts to make money. We spoke about venture capital and getting on websites like Kickstarter and people having a group of people that rally behind you and rally behind your mission, tapping into that so that you can get funding through that. There's silent partners when it comes to getting business funding. We also spoke about grants, the difference between grants and loans, and how sometimes grants could be a little bit tricky to get because of the language, and the chances and things like that. But there are a lot of loans out there. If you do research, like we have the discretion of the internet at our fingertips, literally. Like you can look for grants and things that your company needs based on um, your business so that it's more tailored to you, right? And also for funding opportunities, reach out to the Mob family. They'll
Yes,
get you right.
ma'am.
They will
Courtesy of
get
the mob.
they will get you right. Because oftentimes when you first start out and you don't have the capital, you you use your money, right? And people will tell you don't try not to use your money. Try not to use
OPM.
your money. Yeah, try to get your other people's money, try to get your business credit going, and go about it a different route. But listen, y'all want to know the details, the steps? Come through on Monday. Join us on the workshop as well. We happy to share that information. And join the mob community because there's so many people, like knowledgeable people in the group that can help you get started.
That's how you know we cooking. That's how you know we cooking. Let's go, man. If you're on live, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Instagram, make sure you guys blow up that chat. Let me see some love, man. Let me see some love. And nobody give y'all the icebreaker question too, man. I've been late on the icebreaker. I need to step it up, man. I need to step it up. I need to step it up real quick. Real quick while she get back on. Actually, I'm about to give y'all the icebreaker question right now. Let's get it. Let's get it. So, if you had to cut your monthly spending by 20% starting today, what's the first thing you would eliminate? And what would you absolutely keep no matter what? Let me see them answers in the chat if you're on live with us, man. If you had to cut your monthly budget spending by 20% starting today, what's the first thing you would eliminate? And what would you absolutely keep no matter what, man? Let's get it, man. Sometimes we got a budget. It's okay. It's okay. Especially if you got a business, man. You have to budget. You have to know what's going in, what's going out. I hope everybody has been doing the assignment that I've been giving you guys this month. Um, because hey, it ain't about doing it for me. It's about doing it for you guys. These are things that you guys should be doing anyway, especially if you want to run a successful business, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. So make sure you guys tapping in. Make sure you guys actually um, doing the assignments, man. Because like I said, this is stuff that you guys should be doing anyway. So again, the icebreaker question for today is: if you had to cut your monthly spending by 20% start today, what's the first thing you would eliminate? And what would be the first thing you would absolutely keep no matter what? Real quick, Jazz, can I get you to answer that question since we got you back? Let me know when we got you back, guys. Yep, yep, yep. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And let me see them answers in the chat real quick, man. We got another icebreaker question for you guys. If you had to cut your monthly spending by 20% starting today, what would be the first thing you would eliminate? And what would you absolutely keep no matter what? What's on what you got for us, Jazz?
Oh, if I had to cut my monthly spend by, oh dear, I guess I could eat out less.
I'm telling you,
I
hey,
guess summertime is coming and I could lay off the fast food. I guess.
gotta get the meal preps in, gotta prep the
I know.
meals. It's hard, but you know,
Let you forget a meal, man. Let you forget a meal, and that's it. Like Uber got your money. Like
definitely, definitely. That's a good
in
one.
New
That's a
York
good one.
City with the traffic on the way to work, man, if I'm 20 minutes out, forget it. I'm not going back. I don't
I
know
don't
about everybody
I don't even see how anybody live in New York. Like, how do y'all even survive? Like, what's going on?
else.
I don't see how
I'd be
people
like, I'm
live
not.
in New York or LA. Like, goodness gracious, how do y'all survive? So real quick,
I'm bare.
I don't want to keep you all day. I got one last question for you, and
Okay.
this is super important because we've been talking about this a lot lately. If you in the chat, if you on live, man, make sure you guys drop the answer to the icebreaker question. But Jazz, what how has your mindset evolved as a leader, and what practices do you incorporate to maintain a positive spirit?
So I give myself, let myself know it's okay to not be perfect, for things to not always be perfect, for things to not go always as planned, right? They say write a vision down, make it plain, and that's just the start of the work. And in the process, there's days where there's hiccups. There's days where you're tired or you don't feel like doing it every single day. But giving myself grace in the process to continue to show up, like even when I don't feel like showing up, I know it's for a greater purpose that's beyond me. So for me personally, that's one of the things I do. I make sure that in the morning I listen to a podcast just to get my mind right. I get up early in the morning just to meditate, to clear my mind so that I could start my day calm, right? I make a plan when it's silent, when I have nobody talking to me, because once everybody's up, forget about it. And
Definitely,
where I could just sit and hear my thoughts. And, I make sure I make a plan at different times, whether it's a plan for the month, a plan for the week, and a plan for the day. So there's three different types of plans that I make, right? And then I make the fallback plan. You do as much as you can in the plan that you want, and also what is something that can be slightly pushed, right? You're not going to always push everything for tomorrow because then it'll never get done, but that comes with giving yourself the grace through the process. So for me, that's how I stay in positive spirits, because in the beginning, if I didn't have everything on my to-do list checked off and it wasn't done, I would get down really hard on myself, like, dang. And somebody told me, I forgot who it was, but they were like, even if you spend 30 minutes out your day doing something for your business, you can say, yo, I worked on business today. And that's an accomplishment within itself. So as long as you are actively going, and even the whole thing of like, there's times where you as an entrepreneur, there's times where you feel like you want to quit, right? But they always say, like, it's okay to slow down, it's not okay to give up, because if not you, then who? And if not now, then when, right? So giving yourself grace in the process always lifts my spirit up. Podcasts, speaking to people like you mentioned before, mentors, just having people push you, like, hey, did you check this out? Mob is definitely good for doing that. Did you see what I sent you? I'd be like, looking at it now, right? But we need that push. Sometimes you need that push to keep you going in the process. So,
we all
and
do.
of course, pray through the process and trust it.
Gotta trust that process. Gotta have accountability partners. This is what I love to talk about all the time. You can't have yes men's all the time. You gotta have somebody that's
Yep.
every now and then hey, look like, hey, we could be doing better. We could be doing better. We could be
Right.
doing more. But mindset is everything. It's always good to take some time for yourself. and get your mind right. We've been talking about meditation. That's been coming up a lot,
Yep.
different things like that. But do what works for you. It ain't got to be meditation. I was one of
Right.
those people that really didn't believe in meditation for the longest until I started doing it. But I could be
Hmm.
doing it more. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes I do what you do. I might turn on a podcast or turn on something that's gonna get my mind spinning. I like to listen to certain people like Gary Vee and Grant Cardone and people that's out here moving and shaking
Hmm.
things that can actually give some value, and not just
Right.
BS all the time.
Mm.
Sometimes, look at get some BS in there a little bit. Hit the social media feed and sit on TikTok for a minute. But it's always good to mix it up and balance it out at the end of the day. Real quick, man, let these folks know where they can find you and what you got coming up next.
Yes. So you all can find me on Instagram. Go ahead and type in Serenity Nail Polish. Serenity Nail Polish. I can be found on Instagram. Or you can check out our website, www.serenitynailpolish.com. Each and every Monday, we go live at 5 p.m. Um, we go live at 5 p.m., 5 o'clock every Monday. Join us for our Mamapreneur one-on-one webinar workshop, where we are talking you have questions and
Real quick, can you
check.
real quick, Jazz, can you turn off your
Go ahead.
Wi-Fi? You,
Take off the Wi-Fi.
yeah, turn off your Wi-Fi real quick. Maybe that'll be better because you're chopping up. You're a little choppy.
Okay. Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, let me see if it
Can you
clear
hear
up.
me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I just want to make sure it don't chop in. Let them know where to find you again one more time.
Yeah, so you can find us if you go on Instagram right now, which a lot of you are, type in Serenity Nail Polish. Serenity Nail Polish on Instagram. Check out our website, www.serenitynailpolish.com. The link is also in our bio. Each and every Monday at 5 o'clock, we go live. Our Mamapreneur one-on-one webinar workshop. Make sure you tap in. Registration can also be found on our website for there as well, where you will get special emails and offers. And we also have new products coming out soon, coming right to your doorstep. So make sure you stay tuned in and sign up for those newsletters.
Let's go. Let's go. And give the mob a quick shout out, real quick.
So we want to shout out Serenity Nail Polish wants to shout out the Mob family because they have been doing a lot to help our business. They help us go live each and every Monday. Um, Giving us reminders for whether it's like business emails, things that have to be done, marketing strategies, campaigns. Like you need help, they are there to help you. They're there to support you, and they really try to make it a family oriented and family feel where we all support each other, right? Because the idea is again community over competition, and if one of us thrives, we all thriving and shining. So make sure y'all tapping into them. Make sure you guys are signing up and seeing what are they offering, and join the brainstorming sessions. If you have not been on the brainstorming sessions each week, make sure you're doing that as well.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I appreciate you, Queen. It's always a pleasure to keep on building. Ever since we met, man, it's been powerful. We've been doing some great things. So I want to continue on doing that. Man, shout out to everybody that's been tuning in with us every single week. I see you. I see you guys. Everybody that's been tapping in. What up, Fee? Another mob. Man, what's going on? What's going on? You've been blowing up the chat. They've had to cut out the nails for a few weeks. Hey, cut it out, man. Let's get on these budgets, man. Speaking of that, let me give y'all assignment. And I'm gonna let y'all go real quick. We got a lot coming up. For this next 30 days though, man, I wanna see some budget trackers. I want you guys to put together a 30-day budget tracker. I want you guys to track and categorize your personal and business spending for a month, analyze patterns, and consider ways to optimize your budget. Reflect on where you're seeing opportunities to improve, your habits, and figure out how you can actually optimize that and change that around. And if you need to use a spreadsheet, if you're using QuickBooks, anything like that, that'd be great to help create your 30-day budget tracker And again, man, these assignments is for you guys. And at the end of the day, this is what you should be doing anyway. So I appreciate you guys hopping on every single week. Make sure you guys check out our website at masteringourbusiness.com, man. And stay tuned, man. I'll see you guys next week. Let's go. It's the mob. Let's do it.